Governments deny it. Militaries deny it. Even the mainstream media denies it. But they are here, and they've been here for a very long time. The Mutual UFO Network has been on the front lines uncovering the truth since 1969, and now we're sharing that truth with you. Welcome to MUFON What's Up with your hosts, Katie Page, Christopher DePerno, and Tara Diulis, exclusively on the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. Wondering what's up? So are we.
What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday night, and you're listening to MUFON What's Up Radio, the show that says discovery starts with curiosity, and curiosity starts with MUFON, brought to you by KGRADB.com. As always, we're endorsed by MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, always asking that all-important question, are we alone in the universe? Tonight, we have a very special guest for you. We have Dan Willis. I'm so excited to bring him on here in a few minutes and talk with him about the hearings and all the latest news that's going on in ufology. It's been a crazy few weeks, so I'm anxious to get his opinion on what's going on. I also wanted to remind you about a few conferences that are coming up. First, here, in just a little bit now, we have the UFO Expo in Roswell. That'll be March 10th, 11th, and 12th. I hope to see you all out there. KGRA will have a booth out there. Again, don't forget to get your tickets for Contact in the Desert. That'll be June 2nd through the 4th out there in Indian Wells, California. You can go to contactinthedesert.com and get your tickets for that great conference. And the MUFON Symposium will be August 24th through the 27th. And their website is open, and you can now book your hotel there and get your tickets for that as well. And we hope to see you all out there. I will be, and I believe Chris DePerno and I will both be teaching at the FI training out there at the symposium this year. So we hope to see you guys out there as well. I'd like to bring in my co-host. We have Tara Diulis. You can see Tara on Sky Tour Live with Mark D'Antonio right here on KGRA. Hi, Tara. How you doing?
Hey, Katie, what's up? What's up, everyone? Hi.
Hope you had a great weekend.
It was a great weekend. And now I'm planning all these conferences I'm going to go to in the next month or so. It's a lot to do.
I was like checking my calendar. I'm like, oh, shit. Sorry. I have stuff every month until October. Oh, my goodness. So busy. It's a busy time of year for conferences.
It'll be really
and whatnot.
fun.
But it's a lot of fun, right? All hanging out with our friends.
Absolutely.
Let's bring in the state director of New York. We have Chris DePerno and Jerry and Jenna. Oh, look at
Jenna's still missing. We have Jenna on the missing alien list.
Uh-oh.
But Jerry is with us. Jerry has joined the FBI. The mission of the FBI is to protect innocent people from flying balloons.
Flying balloons.
He is with the flying balloon
intense.
investigation team, and he has got to the bottom of what's going on in Lake Huron, over Toronto, and everything. Please, Jerry, I will share what you found out in Jerry's investigation. He has found the following. Look at this balloon. Oh my God, isn't that sinister? And that's another one they shot down. It took a Raptor 22 to take that one down, baby. But wait a minute.
Oh, my God.
You would shoot that balloon down. I'm telling you, if you saw that.
They shot down.
That is a national security risk right there.
Pigs are flying.
God, look at the hideous balloon that is.
Pigs on the wing.
Look at him. That is a Chinese spy if I've ever seen a Chinese spy. Right there. And of course, you got the aliens involved with it. Now, let me tell you something. Doesn't that look heinous right there? I would shoot that one down.
Run away.
And of course, the worst one of all, probably the one over Lake Huron, a flying gopher. So, Jerry has gotten to the bottom of the bottom of this flying balloon stuff, folks.
Oh, that's hilarious.
They're all shot down. Don't worry about them. and
Nothing
stuff.
to see here.
The Flying
Nice.
Balloon Investigation Team. Jerry.
We're just missing the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man.
Oh my
Take that
God,
one
that's
out.
hilarious.
Jerry,
Well,
we got to shoot that one down, baby.
Oh my
Stay
gosh.
Puff guy.
Way to go, Jerry. Awesome
That-
work.
It is that gopher balloon reminds me of my meme for today, you guys. So today's meme shows two aliens standing next to a man sleeping in his bed. And one of the aliens is smiling with big teeth and the other is grimacing. And he's sternly saying, "Ew, put those back." Isn't that hilarious? So the smiling alien is wearing the man's dentures. It's gross.
They probably think we look weird with teeth and everything.
Don't you know it? Well,
Humans are ugly.
the aliens look funny with teeth, don't you think? It
Yeah.
doesn't look quite right. Doesn't look quite right. Well, Amanda,
Yeah.
help us out here. I want to talk to you guys about hematite. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but it's a common iron oxide compound. And basically, it's widely found in rocks and soils. And some historic drawings with this mineral have dated back to over 100,000 years. So that's hematite that you're looking at. That its color naturally occurs in black to steel or silver gray, and brown to reddish brown or red. And it's harder than pure iron, but much more brittle. And so that's what I wanted to check out, this find I had on Etsy. It's a 4-inch tall hand-carved hematite. It's a female alien skull with beautiful tiger gold eyes.
Now, how do you know it's a female?
Gold tiger eye eyes. It says it's a female, so it looks kind of androgynous to me, but some say hematite's particularly effective at grounding and protecting and harmonizing the mind and body and spirit, right? And tiger eye is a member of the quartz family, which is commonly seen to bring courage. So this might be a fun addition to your meditation table or a really cool gift for a friend. And you can find this really beautifully hand-carved hematite alien head on Etsy, where you can find anything. Just check it out. The other thing I wanted to show you is these cool Bigfoot casts off of Paranormal Pops. Can you see those?
Yeah.
So they're meant to look like plaster castings of Bigfoot prints, like found in the wild. So they come in chocolate or white chocolate mint, and they contain bits of rosemary and gluten-free cereal. So these types of wonderful, fun, edible gifts can be found at Paranormal Pops.
Yum.
Oh, wow.
I think they're really fun. They are
Everything
delicious.
from Paranormal Pops is delicious. I tell you, they make some great stuff.
They really do, and they just are fun, have a good sense of humor. So the other thing is, don't forget to fuel up, everyone. Fuel up for life, because you're worth every effort you put into your good health. So we have wake up for motivation and play for concentration, which is my favorite, and rest for rejuvenation. So you can visit fuelup.gg/MUFON for our special offers and fuel up. What do you guys think?
Well, I tell you, I don't know if it's because of the fuel up or what, but my hair is starting to go black again. So
I can see
I'm
that.
drinking that
right
stuff.
there.
I'm just starting to
Chris,
drink about that stuff like the gallon.
That's awesome.
You know, I sit there like it's like a faucet. There, come on, turn it on. I go.
It's an IV drip.
Yeah.
If I could figure out how to put an IV in, I'd be doing it with that
Oh
stuff.
my goodness, not me. It's supposed to be really good for you. So enjoy, everyone. Well, Chris,
Awesome.
Chris, what do you have for us today?
Well, I don't know. That was pretty exciting about Jerry joining the final flying balloon investigation. But let's see what we got in the news. What's the news of the nation? Okay, let's start with this story here. Mysterious metal spear washes ashore in Japan. Japanese authorities are attempting to determine the nature and origin of a sizable metallic spear that mysteriously washed up on the beach. The presence of an unidentified, once floating object reportedly came to light earlier this week when a woman stumbled upon it as she walked along the shore. Now, how do you stumble along and stumble into that? That's not
on her
exactly something
telephone.
you're going to stumble your toe on. Okay, all right. As she walked along the shore of the coastal city of Hamazatsu, I guess that's it. I don't know. She promptly reported the metal ball, which measures approximately 5 feet in diameter, to police, and they isolated the odd object of initial concerns that it could be some kind of explosive. Oh my God. While the particular spear was found to be hollow and harmless, what exactly it is, and it could have come from, the questions have left by officials in Japan scratching their heads. I'm scratching my head while I'm reading this story. Despite what was largely good-natured speculation on the social media in Japan, the possibility that the spear could be connected to aliens could be put to rest by the fact that it sports a pair of handles, which suggests that it serves some purpose here on Earth. Hey, maybe it was a Christmas ornament for the aliens. You never know.
Plus, didn't it have the letter T on the side of it?
Did it?
I don't know.
It's a big candle. It reminds me of one of those.
You never know. The aliens might have Christmas trees, and that could be an ornament. Theories that the ball might somehow be related to clandestine Chinese spying has also been dismissed. And as of now, the most prevalent explanation for the object is that it's a mooring buoy that wound up breaking loose from a ship and drifted over to Hamamatsu. What a word. That said, there remains only a hypothesis as the Japanese government continues to examine the spear in the hopes of finding a definitive answer to the mystery. I got to tell you something. They must be really rich over there in Japan to spend money looking at a stupid buoy. But what do I know? Amanda, roll that video.
Probably broke off and the train came off the tracks. I think there's going to be a lot of more questions on these track sensors.
Okay.
Like
so
big bobber.
What I can't get off is that these guys got all this protective gear on to go up to this thing, and I can imagine the conversation. Can you imagine? Hey, George, do you really want to go up to this thing? You know, maybe it's an old World War II mine or something. Who knows what the hell this thing is?
Well, it reminded me of the mines found on the lagoon at Gilligan's Island. Remember that? That's what it looked like.
Yeah, I remember Gilligan's Island. Thank you for letting everybody know how freaking old we are. Okay, I appreciate that.
Speaking only for myself, folks.
Yes, thank you. I took away that birthday wish now. Anyways, let's get on to it. And what do you think of this thing, buoy? What do you think, Tara?
I think it's a buoy. It has to be. It's obviously manufactured and it's broken off of something. So
I can't get off that everything nowadays. If it's something that's kind of slightly strange, it's got to be alien. It's got to be a UFO.
Why not?
The aliens are going, what the hell? That's a buoy down there. These people are still primitive. They think they were the same. What do you think, Katie?
I'm with you. Like everything's alien when it's obviously, man-made. Whatever. Big. I don't know.
I have never seen a rusted spaceship. Maybe the ones from the 70s are all rusted out now. They're on the used spaceship car lot. They're kind of sitting there going, yeah, it's got a little rust on it, but it still goes light years. Give it a little kick. It can go somewhere. But I've never seen a rusted spaceship. So anyways, let's get to the second story. Now, this one, I got to tell you, there's a little bit of a joke into it, but at the end, I'm a little serious about this because this could be a problem. All right. Viral video in which Biden confirms the existence of aliens. This video is a hoax. A footage that shows what appears to be an official address by the U.S. president has been doing the rounds online. The recent spat of incidents involving unidentified objects being shot down by U.S. fighter jets has seen a surge of interest in the UFO phenomenon and the possibility of extraterrestrials' visitation over the last few weeks. Just recently, a video of the U.S. President Joe Biden emerged, which seemed to confirm that these objects were indeed extraterrestrial in nature. The clip would show Biden giving an official statement from a podium, presumably in the White House, quickly went on to attract a lot of attention on social media. I am here to inform you that the number of unidentified flying objects have appeared over many parts of our country, he said. Though Their exact origin remains to be fully determined. The FBI, like flying balloon investigations, has informed me that it is very likely that these are visitors of extraterrestrial nature. As it turns out, however, the video is in fact a total forgery. For one thing, the statement itself never came from the White House. Secondly, it appears as though the footage has been doctored, possibly using AI. And that concerns me, because if they can start doing this with AI, better be careful, to manipulate the image and audio. It's the latest in a long line of deep fake videos which show a real person saying and doing something that they never actually said or did in real life. It demonstrates once again how easy it is for footage of politicians and other public figures to be manipulated, making it harder than ever to tell which is real and what is not. Now, with that being said, I am going to show you the phony video. Amanda, play that first video.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Joint Forces, I am here today to inform you that a number of unidentified flying objects have appeared over many parts of our country. Though their exact origin remains to be fully determined, the FBI has informed me that it is very likely that these are visitors of extraterrestrial nature. I advise the American people to remain calm, not fall into panic, and wait for further announcements. We shall overcome this threat with confidence and vigilance. May God protect us.
Now, I got to tell you, there are people that actually called me on this video, and they thought it was real because it did look real. But it's a hoax, it's phony, it's garbage, okay? Because first of all, I can tell you most politicians, if they're going to be announcing that, it's going to be much more than that. But Amanda, play this second video, and then we'll talk about it.
Good afternoon. Last week, in the immediate aftermath of the incursion by China's high-altitude balloon, our military, through the North American Aerospace Defense Command, so-called NORAD, closely scrutinized our airspace, including enhancing our radar to pick up more slow-moving objects above our country, around the world. In doing so, they tracked 3 unidentified objects, one in Alaska, Canada, and over Lake Huron in the Midwest. They acted in accordance with established parameters for determining how to deal with unidentified aerial objects in U.S. airspace. At their recommendation, I gave the order to take down these 3 objects due to hazards to civilian commercial air traffic and because we could not rule out the surveillance risk of sensitive facilities. We acted in consultation with the Canadian government. I spoke personally with Prime Minister Trudeau from Canada on Saturday. And just as critically, we acted out of an abundance of caution and an opportunity that allowed us to take down these objects safely. Our military and the Canadian military are seeking to recover the debris so we can learn more about these 3 objects. Our intelligence community is still assessing all 3 incidences. They're reporting to me daily and will continue their urgent efforts to do so, and I will communicate that to the Congress. We don't yet know exactly what these 3 objects were, but nothing right now suggests they were related to China's spy balloon program or that they were surveillance vehicles from any other country. The intelligence community's current assessment is that these 3 objects were most likely balloons tied to private companies, recreation, or research institutions studying weather or conducting other scientific research. When I came into office, I instructed our intelligence community to take a broad look at the phenomenon of unidentified aerial objects. We know that a range of entities, including countries, companies, and research organizations, operate objects at altitudes for purposes that are not nefarious, including legitimate scientific research. I want to be clear. We don't have any evidence that there has been a sudden increase in the number of objects in the sky. We're now just seeing more of them, partially because the steps we've taken to increase our radars, to narrow our radars. And we have to keep adapting our approach to dealing with these challenges. That's why I've directed my team to come back to me with sharper rules for how we will deal with these unidentified objects moving forward, distinguishing between those that are likely to pose safety and security risks that necessitate action and those that do not. But make no mistake, if any object presents a threat to the safety and security of the American people, I will take it down.
And that last line worries me because if they start coming, which we all know they're flying around the skies, are they going to start trying to shoot them down? Because I got a strange feeling if they try to do that, they're going to shoot back. Katie, what do you think?
I say good luck because they'll just shut down their equipment. First of all, I have a question. I'm not a radar expert or anything, but it just sounds awfully suspicious to me that we had the capability of fine-tuning and turning up what's flying around in our skies. Wouldn't we have it already set at that level? Like, the whole thing just sounds like complete nonsense to me, and like a diversion, or like I just don't buy any of what's going on. But
don't buy it, because as I talked about in a past show, we have 7 unclassified radar systems that can see a softball in space. We can pick a basketball up in space. We can pick up just unbelievable objects in space, in our low orbit area, and even our skies. And we're not talking 1, we're not talking 2, we're talking 7 that are unclassified. So think about how many they have that are classified. Like Kevin Day says, that they can not only tell you speed, direction, everything, but they could tell you the exact make, model of the airplane flying or what it is. So you're telling me this big ass hot air balloon flying around that's the size of, God knows, a 737, I think they said, was flying around, and nobody had NORAD figured to say, hey, there's something flying over here. I don't buy it.
If they didn't, that's concerning. I mean, if they didn't know it, that's concerning. So yeah, the whole
Tara,
thing
what do you think?
suspicious.
Well, I just think it's a great lesson for all of us that we should not be quick to judgments in any aspects of our life, and just remain calm and spread love and not fear. I'm that child of the 60s, so that's where I go with it.
I don't know how much love you're going to spread if you're firing missiles at these things, but hey.
Oh my gosh.
Just that
it's that threat, it's that threat.
I could tell you something. It's going to be aliens 1 and humans 0 if we try shooting at them. But what do
I bet we already have.
Yeah. So are you guys ready for a case of the week?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have an interesting one. I hope you guys like this one. Okay. So this one is case number 128360. Again, it's a category 1 case. It's out of Sonoma, California. It occurred January 29th, 2023, 12:30 in the afternoon. So it's a daytime sighting. I'm going to tell you the wind speed was at 18 miles an hour, which might come into play here. But basically, the witness reported it was a beautiful Sunday morning filming a family of red-tailed hawks riding the thermals. Oh. I was showing my dad the footage and observed a streak falling quickly through the sky. After slowing the images down and pushing into the streak, it appeared to be a teardrop or balloon-shaped object, according to a few people that I showed the video and still screenshots to. So it was closed as an unknown other. But I before we go to the still frames, I have 3 videos. I'll start with the original video that was sent into MUFON, and you got to look very closely to see this very quick moving streak, and then we slow it down. But Amanda, if you can roll video 1. Oh, wait a minute.
I think I saw it.
Did you see it go through?
Was it like on the bottom left? Yeah, middle?
Can you play it again?
Yeah, play the first one more time. Okay, now video number 2.
There it goes.
Yeah. Video number 3.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
like it's falling.
Yeah. Okay. So I grabbed a couple screenshots out of that case. What do you guys think?
Very reflective. It looks almost like it has a pointed front to it.
Yeah, like it could be a string, like a balloon, but the balloon theory, I mean, that original video, that thing is moving
Balloons
quick.
don't move fast downward, right?
Mhm.
Man, I
It's
don't
not
know.
like it's floating on a wind current. I mean, that thing is just booking.
I
What
like
do
that.
you
I
think
first
this-
thought it was like a mylar balloon. I says, maybe a mylar balloon because of
Right.
the texture and nature of it. But as you said before, it's moving pretty damn fast.
Right.
So
Could it
that's
be
the thing that's kind of stunts me. I don't think it's a drone.
No.
It's certainly
Right.
not a drone. So it's a
Could it-
Scooby-Doo mystery there, buddy.
Right.
Could it be
I mean,
falling from a
Amanda,
plane?
Yeah, Amanda, can you roll that first video one more time where it's going really fast? Because I mean, if it was a balloon, it almost kind of shows up, and then if we can run that one last time just to get slower than that floating on the wind current. So I don't know. I think that's
Very
a really
cool.
interesting case.
Yeah. You got me on that one.
Mhm.
Right. So did you catch up with Bob this week?
I did. And as
Okay.
always, he's got some great videos he's going to show us in the next few weeks. Amanda, why don't you roll Bob's video, please?
Hi, everybody. This is Bob Spearing. I'm MUFON's International Director of Investigations, and every week I try to bring you something interesting. Case 128285 from Laurel, Montana, February 1st of this year, 4 p.m. A fellow was filming what he thought was an odd object. While he was filming it, he heard that Billings airspace in Montana had been closed. Obviously, we're talking about the Chinese balloon here before it was shot down over South Carolina. And today, as I record this, there's all sorts of stuff going on. Balloons getting shot down in Alaska, in Canada, maybe another one in Montana. The Chinese are actually getting ready to shoot something down near their coast along the Yellow River. I have no idea what's going on, but the video I want to show you now is probably the best video MUFON has gotten from a witness that shows the actual balloon. But take a look closely, because this is a very clear video, yet you cannot see the antenna array below the object. So I'm curious why that's so, because I believe the video is clear enough that you should see it. So let's take a look at the video.
Okay, there's the moon. Oh, that's okay. Fine, Daddy. See that? This is pretty much facing straight north. It's February 1st. It's almost 5 o'clock. And I don't know what that is. It hasn't really moved much. I apologize for not holding more still, but it's hard to do because it's cold out and windy. The airport in Billings has shut for flights at this time. Interesting.
So, two interesting things. At the very end of the video, we hear the witness say that Billings airspace has been closed down. Associated with this case is the fact that Flight Radar 24 picked up a military plane going around and around and around over Montana at the same time. So this is all getting very interesting. We don't see the array below the balloon here, and the witness says that it's very windy, yet the balloon is hovering, and we already know that the balloons can be navigated with fans. So it was obviously hovering in one spot over Montana. So it's an IFO. It's most likely the Chinese balloon. We don't know what's going on, but it's been a very, very interesting week in ufology. I'd like to thank Chris for having me on, and hopefully I'll have some more good stuff for you next week.
What do you guys
Super
think?
Cool. Wow.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yes,
Okay.
I was wondering if somebody was going to report the Chinese spy balloon into MUFON, and that could be possibly it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
very interesting that the airspace was shut down. We got a military jet
Mhm.
circling. Wow.
Now remember,
Cool.
the arrays don't necessarily have to hang from the balloon. They could be inside the balloon, like a blimp.
Right.
They can make
Right.
arrays that are within the balloon, fill it up, and you won't see what items are in the balloon. You just see a balloon.
Cool.
That's super interesting. Wow.
And
Well,
that's the international
yeah.
case.
Awesome.
All right.
He always has cool stuff.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Well, I'm anxious to get Dan in here. How about you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Let's get him.
All right, let's get him. So Dan Willis is one of the top secret military witnesses that testified at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. in 2001 in front of the major mainstream media of the world.
Wow.
From his personal firsthand experiences, as well as looking into the historical indicators that have been purposely omitted from our educational system that reveals an infiltration of unwarranted influences operating behind the secrecy established for our national security system, a system that is used to contract the public's perception that forms are agreed upon reality. That's interesting. And I really want to
Very
talk
key.
to Dan about the agreed upon reality that we're living in, kind of the Truman Show, possibly. This is done in order to hide their illegal operations and why they fear disclosing the truth about the extraterrestrial reality. I do think a lot of these Black access projects, they have a lot to hide and a lot to cover for. So Dan will be the expert on that one. An ex-radio broadcast engineer and ABC newsman, Dan has taken a keen interest in how the mainstream media has withheld disclosure of the full message to the public, a message based on the hundreds of credible military and intelligence witness testimonies. So Dan, welcome to the show. I'm so happy you could be here. And I'll tell you what, I mean, so in 2001, you testified talking about back engineered craft, right? And Black access projects. So I kind of wanted to start you out. Basically, if you can walk us through and tell us about that 2001 experience and what that was like to testify in front of basically the whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good to be with you. Thank you for inviting me. I back in 2000. This is like ancient history. This is May of 2001. It was over 2 decades.
Time flies.
Yeah. It's interesting how it all came about. My military experience with a top secret security clearance, I was receiving, this is back in 1969, report from a ship off the coast of Alaska that was sailors witnessed a saucer coming out of the ocean off port bow. Wow. And it was glowing, reddish orange color, and it shot straight up, and radar operator traffic going over 7,000 miles per hour. My testimony was rather minor compared to what I was one of 21 witnesses. We were backed by over 500 military intelligence witnesses. Wow. It was a secret classified message that was going to Chief of Naval Operations, and it seated my interest in it. And so, over the decades, I've been researching. I heard back in '93 that Bob Lazar was going to meet with some civilian researchers for the first time. And so I traveled out to Area 51, and he said no recordings were allowed whatsoever. I had my camcorder in my lap and recorded the full 2 hours. And his testimony's been consistent. What's interesting is that the base at Nellis Air Force Base, the Area 51, they put out a security advisory to all personnel that, to avoid these people and everything of that nature. And on the distribution list, it had these unacknowledged special access programs that were doing the reverse engineering, like at S4 and so forth. So Dr. Stephen Greer, somehow, he got a hold of this document. And so he went to the Pentagon in 1997, along with Commander Will Miller and astronaut Edgar Mitchell, to meet with the head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Vice Admiral Thomas Wilson. He was shown this document, and he wanted to be read in. Him and his level of authority would have had access normally. He tried to look into it. The corporations that were running these unacknowledged special access programs said, you're not on the bigot list. And if you don't drop it immediately, you're going to face an early retirement and lose rank.
Oh, wow.
So he was mad as hell, as you can imagine, the Admiral. And so he told Dr. Greer, well, if you can get your people together who are willing to testify under oath, you have my permission to go to the media with this. This group is illegal. Now, Dr. Greer, back in 1993 as well, he was meeting with the CIA director, James Woolsey, Clinton's CIA director, who Clinton had an interest in the UFO subject, and so he's having his CIA director try to look into it. The CIA director is denied access with his normal intelligence and military channels. So he brought Dr. Stephen Greer, who was the director for Center of Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, into a 3-hour meeting. He brought a huge stack of documents substantiating the reality, and the words out of the director's mouth is, I know the subject's real. I'm just trying to figure out why the hell I can't gain access to it. And so he met with military advisors, and they advised him to start collecting witnesses. So from 1993 to 2001, I was the 100th videotaped witness that went on video and gave testimony. Each one of us stated before the 22 cameras of the mainstream media of the world. This is one of the largest events of the history of the National Press Club. The place was packed with reporters, and each one of us stated that we're willing to testify under oath before a congressional hearing, which is what we were seeking. My testimony was, as I said, minor compared to, we had 57 different species already categorized by 1989. We had faster than light craft built back in the 1950s, bases on the other side of the moon, NASA airbrushing the UFOs out before releasing to the public, president, CIA directors all being denied access illegally, according to Admiral Wilson. 0-point energy. We haven't needed nuclear, oil, or coal for decades. Just on and on. Just incredibly explosive testimonies. But myself being an ex-ABC newsman, I was looking at all these reporters, and I'm thinking, my God, I'm going to be part of a world-changing event. How could this information get out to the mainstream public and not change everything? It's going to bring up a lot of questions in people's minds. But I didn't even know what Operation Mockingbird was at that time. And so what the media did was they did what the intelligence community call a limited hangout. They made it sound like hundreds of witnesses are wanting to have a congressional hearing on just essentially the reality of UFOs, totally omitting all the explosive information. Afterward, as I saw what CNN did with it, so CBS flew down and interviewed me. I said, I'm not doing this interview with you unless I can say we have the scientists which can prove, put it on the table, show it working, a 0-point energy device that we can get off of these obsolete primitive technologies. They promised, interviewed me for 45 minutes. The producer, she said, I never had this happen before. The higher executives, read CIA, made me cut that part out. And so,
who made you cut it out, Dan?
Wow.
Yeah, it's CBS in Los Angeles. So a media company out of Hollywood, they asked me, because they knew I was a newsman before, and I'm also a witness. They asked me to write an article on on media control in regards to the UFO topic. And so I gladly accepted it. I was wondering what the hell happened. This should have been a world-changing event.
Right.
And so the only way I could figure out how to understand the subject was to put together a chronology from the beginning of the 20th century, year 1900 to present day. And I've researched all these authenticated classified documents and all these different witness testimonies I became very familiar with. And when you lay it out chronologically, a picture starts to form of what's been hidden behind the scenes. And my God, if you're into science fiction, it blows away. It's like one oh my God after another. You realize what's been generationally indoctrinated. When I was I'm kind of up there. My father used to watch Walter Cronkite, and you have no reason to question the information coming.
We trusted them.
So did the cover-up start in 1947 Roswell, like we all believe it to be, or did it predate that?
Oh, before that.
Oh, really?
It turns out that, Nazi Germany had a plan to infiltrate in 1947. As you know, a lot of things happened. The CIA was created, the Air Force and MJ-12, the first group by Truman set up, and then the second group during the Eisenhower administration. And what happened was Nazi Germany, they had secret operations going that had anti-gravity developed back in 1934. And they had operations down in Antarctica, and Admiral Byrd was defeated in Operation High Jump. And what happened was they effectively infiltrated in. They had this plan called Weltanschauungskrieg, means worldview warfare. They create a matrix of perception, that form our agreed upon reality, as you say. And so they essentially did. They rewrote the history of World War II, the Rockefeller Foundation working with them. And Operation Mockingbird, 1950, with Alan Dulles started that, and Project Dove, Hollywood. And so they created this matrix of perception, this Truman Show, if you wish, that we've been living in generationally. And we don't realize that there was an extraterrestrial alliance that was created with the Nazi SS that gave them very advanced technology. The U.S. didn't have the technology until October 1954, anti-gravity. And so what happened was it led to a somewhat of a surrender agreement that happened during the Eisenhower administration. Everybody familiar with this warning, beware the misplaced powers and the warring influences within the industrial military complex, which the Nazis had effectively infiltrated in, working with their sympathizers in the U.S. And that what happened ever since Eisenhower, every single president and CIA director or heads of intelligence, doesn't matter who you are, if you're not on the bigot list, you're not allowed access into these operations that are reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology. As the Admiral Wilson memo that came out talked about, working on technologies that are not of this earth. So that's kind of a snapshot overview. I've been researching for decades and been paying attention to the witnesses that have been coming out. And, when I first started hearing about the secret space program witnesses, if it wasn't for, people like Gary McKinnon, who we inspired him to hack in and find the U.S. Navy Solar Warden program with the ships called the Hillenkotter and the Lem-A, which were both, MJ-12 members. I couldn't wrap my mind around, it's like, do they have this technology to recruit somebody in space for 20 years and then age and time reverse them back? It just sounded like too much of a far-fetched of a science fiction theory or story. But I've become friends with a lot of them. Like my friend Jean-Charles Morin. He's got a lot of evidence behind him, and Tony Rodriguez. And I've been in communication with Elena Danan, who is interestingly, she was abducted when she was around 9 years old, and they were rescued by the Galactic Federation of Worlds, and they had to repurpose the implant. And I've been actually in communication with a Palladian being since April of last year. We've been exchanging notes. In the 80s, I worked with IBM's head scientist on some rather unusual technology that was using cut quartz crystals and working with medical doctors. And so we're looking at some of this technology and kind of expanding upon it. But in my analysis of her information, there's she would reveal things that there's no way you would be able to make this stuff up. I just give 3 examples. Thorhan, her contact that she's communicates with, says they're doing terraforming operations on Mars. And he says there was just a huge quake. The next day, NASA, the largest quake on Mars ever recorded in the solar system, is recorded. He says, watch for Neptune. Everybody's going to be talking about Neptune soon. 1 week later, just as he says, Neptune's been cooling down, and all of a sudden the South Pole of Neptune is starting to heat up, just like in Antarctica. It's like 70 degrees around Lake Vostok because of these space arcs that are getting activated. And then she did a book called Gift from the Stars. She detailed 110 different extraterrestrial species, drew detailed drawings of them, what their races were like, what their planets, where their planets were, and everything. And in her book, she showed 3 planets in Proxima Centauri. At the time, we didn't know about that until 2 years later. NASA now has the capability to be able to see that, and they confirmed exactly like she said, there's 3 planets. So you can't make this stuff up,
No.
And so, yes, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Dan, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, because I tell you, when you talk, I just love to listen because you come out with so much information, and thank you for being here. But I want to get back to the illegal operations, because I'm very worried about that, because you've talked several times about the U.S. government's illegal operations that are going on. Tell us what operations and how do we go about finding more about these type of operations? Well,
if you read, at the last congressional investigation on UFOs, UAPs, which head of naval intelligence and everything, and right. Mr. Gallagher, a representative from Wisconsin, I believe, who incidentally he passed a bill so that I would get like 10 years in prison, for and the $10,000 fine for revealing this information in the past due to JANUP 146. But he's made a bill that made it so that UFO whistleblowers can come out now without fear of repercussions. And so one of the things he brought up 2 things. One, the Maelstrom Air Force incident where they shut down 10 nuclear tipped ICBMs, Captain Robert Salas, right. Mm-hmm. Right there.
Good job.
And he also brought up the Admiral Wilson memo. These guys who were supposed
to denied it, Dan. The chief of naval intelligence said, I don't know what you're talking about, basically.
Exactly. These guys were supposed to be in charge, and you guys are, you research and this stuff, and you'd think that the head of intelligence would have, but it seems like these people are put in place that are not really researchers. They're kind of like just kind of support the narrative type of thing. But the reverse operations that like Bob Lazar was working on over at S4, that was revealed on the NRO document that Dr. Greer presented to Admiral Wilson. It's interesting, because he wanted to find out himself what the hell's going on. And so he had a meeting with astrophysicist Dr. Eric Davis over by the EG&G building that does the Janet flights, over to Area 51, and apparently recorded it in the Admiral's limo, the whole conversation. And then astronaut Edgar Mitchell apparently got a copy of this, because a lot of this memo had to do with meeting back in '97 with Admiral Wilson. And so when he passed away, this leaked publicly, and so everybody's aware of that. These operations have been, what they do is they have like layers of an onion. They have programs within programs, and they have other programs that, say, if a senator or congressman looks into it, they have a front program that kind of throws them off. But the real programs are hidden deep within these unacknowledged special access programs.
But Dan, doesn't the Pentagon control the money? I mean, with these special projects, like what Admiral Wilson wanted to be read into and he was refused, could he have cut off funds for them? Because he says, "Screw you! I'm not giving you any more money."
I think they seem to have the upper hand on this whole thing. As you've probably heard, there's I heard a number of 21 trillion missing.
Yeah, from the Pentagon.
Right.
Yeah. So apparently they have the money, and that's just the normal legal sources of money. So how to address this? I think the only way to address this is because they control the perceptions of the public. The public, through generational indoctrination, has no idea these things going on. And so it's only through a collective awakening of the populace that will start to demand answers. But so long as the majority of the public is completely unaware, and so long as the media is controlling a certain large percentage, but that's changing a lot, because of shows like yours and on the social media, and people are coming out. But there's also a tremendous amount of disinformation, because people that are coming out, like my friend John Charles and Tony Rodriguez and so many, they counter them, and they come out with people who claim to have the same thing, but they reverse it, or they attack the other person. So the average person, looking on YouTube and Rumble and all the different alternative outlets, they get to the point where there's so much conflicting information that people don't know what to believe.
Right.
And so that effectively censors the truth from getting out. But the only thing that differentiates between these different, I call them counter disclosure assets that come out. They just come out of the woodwork and start attacking people and coming up with similar, but they reverse it with it's like 90% truth with a 10% lie mixed in. The only way is to look at what kind of credible evidence do they have? Do they have evidence to back up, which is really difficult if you're recruited in a secret space program, because you're not going to be able to bring anything back to show anybody. So it's a hard one.
Yeah. Dan, so I have a question for you. On that, what can we do to change or better understand that agreed upon reality that's being forced to us? And you talked about the matrix for perception, and is that all intertwined? Is that the same thing? And we have less than 3 minutes before our first break, but if you could maybe talk about that, we can catch up on our next hour too.
My recommendation is don't trust anybody. Do your own research. And my notes, just sharing on from that article, thewebmatrix.net. Thank you. It's not a professional site. It's just notes that I started because of that media company wanted me to, and I wrote it a long time ago. It needs a lot of updating, but there's still a lot of documents and witness testimonies, and it'll give you a foundational basis to start building your research and looking into what's going on in our solar system. Is there are we about to have disclosure? Is there, like the head of the Israeli space program said, there's a Galactic Federation is awaiting for us to be ready to reveal themselves.
Right. In the minute we have left, I mean, obviously there is an ongoing campaign, for lack of a better word, to keep us all divided, right?
So true.
Fearful, right? And this threat narrative, but I mean, do you think that the public is ready for, the truth of ETs out there? Are we ready to handle it?
Well, I am. I'm tired of the BS. I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Exactly.
Secrecy and deception has been used against us for decades.
Yeah.
And what you don't know can hurt you and impact you negatively, trusting medical advice, for example, on the television, things you can't talk about, so it's important to be aware and do your own research, because you're not going to get it out of your education system. We're being fed science fiction.
Right.
But the real thing is going on.
I think it's break time, Dan. But when we come back, I actually want to dig into what you think is going on with Antarctica and maybe some of the Vril, and maybe go back and revisit some of those German technologies after the break. So hang in there, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
MUFON is the voice of thousands of like-minded people who want to see change. We speak up against UFO secrecy. We engage governments and agencies around the world on the topic. We share information with the public through our journal, website, newsletters, social media, and even our own TV channel. When you join MUFON, you add your voice to the cause. Few things are more important in our time than understanding the UFO question. Join MUFON. Find your friends.
Did you know 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? If you struggle with focus, run low on energy, or when it's time to finally sleep, you simply can't, this can all be linked to dehydration, and Fuel Up has the answer. Our proprietary formula contains the finest cellular hydration with the strongest immune-enhancing natural ingredients. The Fuel Up system is made up of 3 different incredibly tasting varieties. Wake, kickstart your day with a jolt of caffeine. Play, boosts focus while hydrating your cells. Rest not only helps you relax, but also rejuvenates your cells while you sleep. Here's what our clients have to say.
I really don't miss my coffee, and you can tell the difference.
So I'm going to take it for the energy. I'm going to take it for the play. I'm going to take it, all day.
And it works. That's the thing. It works. We love it.
Take the Fuel Up Challenge now, where we offer a Feel the Difference money-back guarantee. Fuel Up for life.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
All right, we're back. So, Dan, I wanted to kind of go back to Antarctica a little bit. You mentioned Admiral Byrd and the Nazis and that. What do you think's going on in Antarctica? Do we have hidden ship there? Is it still active? I mean,
well, isn't it fascinating that around Lake Vostok, it's like 70 degrees warmer. Why is that? Just like in Neptune, where
very strange.
It was heating up. These space arcs are like spaceships, which have archives of knowledge in it. And I spoke about Jean Charles earlier. He went to this space arc in Antarctica along with Elena. And was able to witness inside the large beings that were in these stasis tubes. And they have, incredible technology. It's like a science fiction movie, but it's these people aren't making this up. What happened was, the Nazi SS back in the 30s and so forth, they had their secret space program there. The U.S. Navy had a spy program that was trying to gain information. William Tompkins was involved in that, which I did a lot of research on him. And what happened was, when our solar system, this is just incredible, the most best news ever. Our solar system was purged of these regressive extraterrestrials, the MJ-12 group that went behind Eisenhower's back and signed an agreement with the Nebu Greys, who wanted to start this hybrid program, and we were giving them underground bases and so forth. And the Draco reptilians that were working in alliance with the Nazi SS, they've all been purged out of our solar system back in 2021. Oh. And so what happened was the operations of the Dark Fleet or Nachtwaffen, whatever you want to call it, of the Nazi SS, they're basically been removed from Antarctica. Chinese started to. There was a witness that was working at McMurdo base. I was actually going to work there for a whole year under the National Science Foundation because of my background in communications. They they have worked. They're now working with the Alliance. There's an Earth Alliance that's working with the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And so a lot of these nefarious operations have been converted, you could say. And so right now since the dark elements, I guess you would call them, the cabal or whatever on this planet, they're top of their pyramid's been kind of decapitated because they were working with these extraterrestrials that were giving them the abilities to, do a lot of nefarious things on this planet. But they've been removed from the solar system. So now what's left is the minions on Earth that are raising havoc, as you can see on the evening news. Most likely because they have nothing to lose and they're trying to strike a deal so they can, get off the hook. But I think the positive timeline of our planet has been established. That we do have help from upstairs, I guess you could say, that can move forward. And incredible technologies await to be released. I mean, you can imagine. I spent 10 years working with scientists and inventors that had over Unity energy devices and so forth. Dr. Greer set up a corporation after a congressional hearing was denied. And so it's just one nightmare story after another. Most of them got national security orders that says you cannot share. 6,000 of these have been issued that we can't have anti-gravity, we can't have free energy, we can't have certain medical technologies. All these have been suppressed, but all this can be released once these negative control elements have been taken out of operation.
Yeah,
Dan, let me ask you a question here because you're just touching on some amazing things, and I've read some of your work and stuff like that. One, I just want to mention something about Antarctica. My daughter actually did research at Antarctica. She went to Antarctica. And they got some they don't tell people, but there's some very strange rules when you get there. Certain places you can't go, certain things you can't do, and everything else. And they hiked in very inclement weather. And then all of a sudden they got to a certain place. She says, Dad, it was 70 degrees. The sun was out. It was like, it just stopped. They had to shed all their Arctic clothes off because they were sweating and stuff. So there's a lot of weird things going on in Antarctica. And I know that because my daughter was actually there and sent me a whole bunch of pictures from there that's going on. But you did an interview about how to identify counter disclosure assets. And that topic is never brought up a lot, but you know what you're talking about. Could you please explain to our audience what you mean by that, and how do people know what the deal is with it?
That's such an important question, because the truth is coming out by certain individuals that are saying the truth, but because there's efforts to, and if you go back to the history, as probably all of you are aware of, the history that goes back to all the efforts, going the Condon Report, I can't even think on the top of the head, but it's a long history in order to deny this reality to the people of the world. And so nowadays, because of social media, you have people who are coming out with the truth, who are secret space program witnesses and emissaries for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And what's happening is they're being attacked. They're being attacked by what I call counter-disclosure assets. And a counter-disclosure assets would, in order to gain a following, they have to have a certain amount of truth. And, a typical tactic, with the intelligence communities, you put about 90% truth, so you gain the confidence of the person, then you throw in the lie. And the lie...
the best place to put a lie is between two truths.
Right. Sandwich it in.
And normally it'll be, the people who are telling the truth, that'll be in their crosshairs. They'll be attacking them, and they'll take what they're saying and say that, and they'll twist it around in a different way. And as I mentioned earlier, how does this effectively work for the mainstream public that doesn't have decades of time to research documents and witness testimonies and all this stuff? They don't know what to believe because you have all this conflicting information. They all sound, they sound feasible, but the real people, the real people have evidence that substantiates who they are, and they're consistent. And these counter-disclosure assets are getting more obvious all the time. They'll come out of the woodwork. They will, but they slip up ever so often. They'll be saying things, and then their testimony will say something contradictory to what they said. Or you have one that comes in and it matches everything perfectly with what other witnesses are saying. But then what they'll do, they'll come out and say, and by the way, the earth is flat, And so what that does is that because people associate in their mind, they think, oh, he thinks the earth is flat. And then that means all the secret space program witnesses, they're in the same category in their mind. Oh, this is all BS, So there are several different tactics, as Edward Snowden released on the GCHQ, all the different tactics that they use, in order to discredit somebody. They're alive and well. And
so, Deanna, let me ask you, with all of this and the hidden technology, the suppression of information and history, I mean, what is it for? What's the end game, do you think? Wouldn't we all be better off to have this technology and to have the information and grow as a human, our whole entire race with, who knows what we could do with this technology, with the amazing people we have on this planet right now?
Oh, well, would you like to go into a holographic when I worked with Dr. Marcel Vogel, with IBM's head scientist, I worked on we had a set full-on laboratory, and I was working on a patent .org, by the way, it's not .com, .org. I worked on a camera that was a patent in the European Patent Office that could, thank you, that could holographically take a drop of blood, and because the universe is holographic and fractal, and so you could take a drop of blood and you could project in space an image, and thousands of photographs were taken with this device. And not only could you project an image, like say a woman was pregnant with a baby, you could see the baby, and you can move forwards and backwards into time with it.
My goodness.
So these holographic medical beds, they work on a similar principle, whereas they take a holographic picture of you, and it goes all the way back to your conception whenever you were a baby. And so what they do, they can pull out slides. This is how they do this 20 and back secret space program.
Oh my goodness.
And so they can take all your organs, your lungs, your arms, and every part of your body when it was optimal, overlay that, or even if you lost an arm or leg, it will repattern itself. It's like on these secret space programs, they have what's called replicators, where they can replicate anything, because the nature of the universe is this tetrahedral fractal geometry. And so even our periodic table of elements is based on this tetrahedral geometry in which all the elements are created. So you can imagine it, or thousands of years in advance, there's spacecraft which interacts with the consciousness of the pilots and are actually conscious. And the technologies, medical beds, just a few things that couldn't, having a little box that gives you multiple kilowatts cut the power companies, don't need the CME, EMP susceptible, ugly wires running all over the place. Cars, we had technology to convert cars onto running on hydrogen, with a simple modification. But, inventors have been murdered and suppressed that try to bring this stuff out. I've had, 10 years of experience with that nightmare. Everything. I can't think of anything that couldn't be affected by having benevolent off-planet cultural exchanges with these benevolent beings of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And I'm very much looking forward to, the full disclosure coming out and be able to do that.
Speaking of time, Dan, I mean, we see time as very linear, and we know that time is secular, or it's like, in the universe, time is so much different than how we perceive it. What do you think? I mean, if we have the ability to replicate and, go back to birth and move, I mean, I have two questions. Number one, I've heard about like Project Looking Glass. Are you familiar with Project Looking Glass?
Yes.
And have we experimented with time travel? Have we done that as a species? Number one is my first question. And number two, do you think any ETs are like us from the future coming back? Do you think that is something that's been going on? And are we trying to change, the outcome of humanity? Are there ETs coming back trying to manipulate how things turn out because they've seen it happen?
Well, the future will have humans, so, there may be some races that come from the future, but the human race will be in the future.
Do we turn into ETs? Do we turn into Greys like Michael Masters talked about? I mean, is that something that you believe is happening or happened?
I mean, you mean the temporal wars?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Do we turn into the Greys, humans?
Evolve.
No. We turn into more evolved humans.
Okay. There's
no,
hope.
The Greys are they're an insectoid type race, and we're not insectoids.
You said the Greys are?
Yeah, they're part insectoid and reptilian, and they're a whole different genetics than we are. And there apparently is, I don't have firsthand knowledge of this, but I understand there are temporal wars. In fact, Alex Collier shared that the Andromedas discovered 350 years in the future. They have time-looking devices. And found out because of the Prime Directive, which is not just in Star Trek, it's an actual thing, was violated by the Nazi SS. Actually, the Draco reptilians that were giving them this advanced technology that eventually led to Eisenhower's, surrender. This created an imbalance. And so this allowed the Galactic Federation of Worlds to come in and work with the Eisenhower administration and work with the U.S. Navy secretly. And that's a whole story in itself, how, the Air Force was working with one group and the U.S. Navy is working with another group, building the Solar Warden program that, people like Jean Charles and others have been involved in.
Dan, you talked about our poor hijacked planet. What do you mean by that?
Our poor hijacked planet?
Yeah, a poor hijacked planet. It doesn't sound too good.
Well, when you get in your car and you pour in gasoline at the gas station, and we're using these dangerous electromagnetic devices that cause brain tumors, and you got to get on an airplane, and it takes you, so many hours to get from one place to another. When we've had anti-gravity back in the 1950s, in fact, one of the witnesses over here, revealed that we had, in the 1950s, it's called alien reproduction vehicles. Very, very primitive compared to what is available now. And so, all this has been kept secret. And, so much,
Why,
nuclear power plants, really? What Fukushima did, the oil spills, the coal plants filling the air full of, do we really need that type of technology? We could be working much more in harmony with the earth with these advanced technologies that,
but what is their end game for keeping?
So they're not profitable, like JP Morgan says. I don't want to see, if I can't put a meter on it, I don't want to see this, right?
Yeah, okay, I can understand that. But when you talk about all these technologies, because when you mentioned the technology about able to grow limbs back, through the secret space program and everything, that they can, if you grow limbs and stuff. Do you know how many veterans are running around with artificial limbs? There will be riots if that technology is known, and we have stopped people who have served this country or have been injured and are suffering, and we do not put this out. There will be riots in the street.
That's why they won't tell us.
I'm 1,000% behind. I'm a combat veteran of Vietnam.
Thank you for your service.
And our soldiers that have lost arms and legs, or people have lost their sight. Anything you can imagine, if you can holographically tune back through time before that incident happened and regrow their arms, legs, and whatever, what an incredible, what the most magnificent, beautiful gift you could give to somebody.
Oh my gosh.
To be able to do something like that. And I'm sure my understanding, I don't have firsthand information, but from people who do have some insights on what's going on, that, first the children that have been, there's a lot of child sex trafficking. And other horrific things going on that's in some of these underground operations, that they will be one of the first because of the trauma and what they've been through. And then our military is going to be next, and then the civilian sector. So I think it goes in that direction, which I think is the correct way to do it. Because
do you think the human trafficking, the child trafficking, has something to do with part of this whole not military industrial, but this cabal, or what the hell is going on connected with the technology and UFOs and everything else? Is this like a certain section that that's all part of it, and why?
Well, from what I see, it's intimately all connected, because there is slave operations. We have millions of people missing every year. A lot of children go missing. And besides some of the dark satanic things and so forth that we can't talk about, it is definitely connected with regressive extraterrestrials that some of it's pretty horrific not to talk about.
So
Dan, I'll talk to you off the radio about it.
Yeah. So you mentioned that the Navy worked with one ET race and the Air Force another. Can you be a little more specific about that? Because I always wondered why, like, the Navy is so forefront and the Air Force still holds back. And how many Black Access projects were there? Are we talking hundreds? And are they still going on today?
Okay, great. Excellent question. Okay, I'll go into that. Keep in mind what happened in September of 1947. What was created? This Central Intelligence Agency, the United States Air Force, and the MJ-12 group, the first group, which Admiral Roscoe Hillenkotter was MJ-1, or the head of the group, who urged for immediate congressional hearings because of the dangers of the secrecy. He didn't want to see the extreme secrecy that was being surrounding this issue being hijacked and used for nefarious purposes like it is, which happened when during Eisenhower, when they moved all their operations from Wright-Patterson over to the S4 and Area 51, and the new MJ-12 group was created with, of all people, Alan Dulles, who was no doubt the one who, as the MJ-1, who went behind Eisenhower's back after he had the meeting with the Galactic Federation of Worlds back in February 1954. They opened up an agreement with this regressive Nibiru Gray extraterrestrials. And so, anyway, to answer your question, what happened was there was the Battle of LA, 1942. Two extraterrestrial drone craft were shot down. One went to China Lake, the other one went to Wright-Patterson. The Air Force got one, or Army Air Force at that time, and the U.S. Navy got the other. What was in charge of all this? Project Rand. Project Rand, General Henry Arnold of the Air Force, very famous individual. He had the feeling that, since the Navy just takes care of things floating out in the ocean, and the Air Force should be the one that should dominate this subject, because things in the air, right? And so he brought in a huge amount of money, which they were all working together. But what happened was it forced the Navy out of the whole program to do their own operations in secret, all right? And so the Air Force was working along with that. And so what happened was, by the Project Rand turned into the Rand Corporation around 1948. 1949, one of the MJ-12 members, James Forrestal, Secretary of the Navy, they murdered him because he wanted to talk about the Nazi base in Antarctica and everything that happened. They threw him out of the hospital window in 1949. And so what happened was the Navy, doing its own operation in secret, since the CIA with the Air Force worked together with the Nibus and the Draco reptilians, that those alliances, and what happened was the U.S. Navy then was able to work with the Galactic Federation of Worlds because there was an imbalance happening, because the reptilians entered into an agreement with the Nazi SS. It created an imbalance, which led to eventual surrender with Eisenhower. And so it gave permission, you could say, to work with the Navy. And so that's how the Navy started out with, as William Tompkins talking about, they started with these submarines. They were retrofitting them with anti-gravity. And eventually they started in the Wasatch Mountains in Utah, started building the Solar Warden fleet, which they had I think 8 Solar Warden craft out there. And so that's how the split happened. That's why the Navy was operating separately. But I believe the Air Force has been brought in to the fold, so to speak, working with the Galactic Federation. And so now that the regressive extraterrestrials have been removed from our solar system, we as a planet, that the humans of Earth can now take back control of our hijacked planet, and it has been hijacked. The Invention Secrecy Act, 1951, anybody that has free energy anti-gravity gets slapped one of these national security orders. Thousands and thousands of these have been issued. I just did a show with Dr. Michael Salla. I brought on one of the scientists that had, been jailed, cars blown up. He had energy devices based on Tesla's design that could give, thousands of watts to everybody. But he can't, because he's under a national security order. So, we have this incredible world available once these technologies are released.
If these Dracos have been removed from our planet, why hasn't there just been, here it is. We have all this great technology. Here's what we can do. Why is that not coming forward if they've been removed off the planet? I mean, I guess the powers that be are still holding it down, or what's going on there?
My own opinion on that is that because of the generational indoctrination, it works quite well, because, when you're a kid, your parents watch television, you don't have any reason to question, right? And so I didn't have any reason. I was shocked. When I gave testimony in 2001, I was shocked what happened with the mainstream media. And as I started to research, I realized that it has been infiltrated, and the Nazi SS, instead of having Eisenhower going on radio and television as one of the witnesses that met with the Galactic Federation worlds back in 1954, what happened was the Bilderberg meetings started with the Nazi SS, started it up. And they, along with Council of Foreign Relations, they consolidated ever since 1983. There was like 50 media companies back in 83. And the CIA basically consolidated it down to 6 corporations that see mostly everything you see in here, New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, all these different networks. They consolidated the control. And so it controls the perceptions. It's because we've been lied to, deceived, duped for so many decades that it's going to be a bit of a psychological shock for a certain percentage of the population that there is the Galactic Federation of Worlds that's here and all these different races, and one thing that they do is they try to seek and to divide using the media. They psychologically try to drive a wedge into, people of different races, different sexual orientation, different political views, different religions, every way they can, because they want to take the attention off of the man behind the curtain, that's pulling the strings to create this deception. So my view on this is that what they're doing is they're letting it roll out to awaken more people. There's so, I mean, if you look at it, it's ludicrous, what's happening with our country now. And so it's so ludicrous that, it's waking a certain amount of people up. And I think they're allowing this to roll out for the deep state to do its thing, just so it awakens more people, so that it's going to be an easier, how to say it, indoctrination sale or whatever of this new reality that's been hidden for so many decades. That's my own humble opinion.
Dan, do you think everything you're describing is Project Mockingbird, which was it's a known, that's not a conspiracy theory. It's known that we've been buying journalists, we've been spying on journalists, we've been feeding them false information, everything. That's it. But do you think this is a setup to Project Moonbeam?
Project Moonbeam. I'm not super familiar. I've heard of it.
It's where they're going to try to fake an alien invasion or something that they can put down martial law and Back in 1967, the report from Iron Mountain, they were talking about contriving a threat from outer space. In 1977, we revealed this. Dr. Keller Rosen was with Werner von Braun on his deathbed. Yes.
He revealed, first there's going to be the Soviets.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a terrorist false flag. Now, this was... this was May of 2001. Everybody knows what happened in September of 2001, which happened. And then the next one's going to be third world rogue nations, such as Iraq and North Korea, which we have. And then the next one is going to be asteroids, which they have the rods from God. They could possibly pull that off. And then the final one's going to be an extraterrestrial. And it's kind of interesting also that Anonymous on WikiLeaks leaked that during the Clinton-Trump campaign that Hillary had hired, the Clinton Foundation hired the Benson Strategy Group, and of all the different things that they could do in order to keep voters from voting from Trump, the one that got the most, it was like 38%, was an extraterrestrial invasion using a thing called Firesign, which is like Project Bluebeam, Moonbeam, Red Sign. The different names for it. It's holographic technology that people look at it, and but. We have the Earth Alliance, and they have craft out there, and the Galactic Federation's worlds out there. I don't think they're going to try to pull something like that. And the cat's out of the bag on that one. A lot of people are aware of they have the technology to pull it off, obviously, since they had anti-gravity back in the 50s. So, and they've been doing a certain amount of, military abductions where they abuse that. And it was even revealed in the Admiral Wilson memo that, some abductions are real and some aren't, so.
Wow. Interesting. So, Dan, I wanted to take you, the Germans were very much into the occult and the Vril, right? Maria Orsic, all that stuff. And then we had Project Paperclip comes over, and we had Werner von Braun. And how much does that occult magic kind of play into the extraterrestrial narrative? And not to oversimplify things, but I mean, in essence, you're saying, we have the Dracos, kind of working with the cabal or whatnot, the reptilians. And then we had another group of ETs that are maybe fighting for good. Is that kind of...
Sounds like a bizarre science fiction movie, doesn't it?
There's kind of been this battle like this. Am I oversimplifying that? And if so, we hear of like the Nordic species, and that, and the Pleiadians. Do we have like a team of like good ones and bad ones, and how's that all playing out right now? Is that...
Dr. Stephen Greer, who, he had his life threatened not to bring these witnesses forth. He, I don't completely agree. He has a view that all the extraterrestrial species are benevolent. No, there's just like on Earth, there's about 4.5% that are psychopaths, on Earth.
That's all.
So it kind
it's
of
only 4.5. Are you sure that's not higher?
It kind of reflects out into the universe that there are regressive extraterrestrials that can be very dangerous, but they're kept in check. Well, one thing that's reassuring is that the Nordic beings that work with the Galactic Federation of Worlds, and which a lot of different species that they work with, they're benevolent, which is wonderful, and their technology is far in advance. So that's kind of reassuring. Right, so I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I answered your question.
Yeah, I guess I was just saying, like, how much of that esoteric kind of magic and the Vril, is that part of the ET agenda, or is that something separate? I guess is what I was trying to ask.
Part of our humanity, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you mean like the Vril of the Germans? Yeah, they were essentially benevolent. Maria Orsic was getting an ancient Sumerian script, which she gave to Dr. Schumann, who they brought over in Paperclip at Wright-Patterson, and he found viable physics, and they started working on it. That's how they got anti-gravity going by 1934, and then
was
Nazi
she channeling an ET? I guess was she channeling? Oh, I think we lost Dan for a second.
From the Albarian constellation, there was Nordic. It was basically benevolent, but the Nazi SS took that, and the Vril Society was very much against Hitler and his
So they turned it. I got you. Okay.
His whole thing. Yeah, you'd want, the main question a lot of people comes, well, if Nazi Germany had all this advanced technology, why wouldn't they just won World War II, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The thing is that they wanted the industrial might of the United. They didn't have. We could build 10 tanks and planes for every one that they could build, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so basically they infiltrated and took into what Eisenhower warned about, the misplaced powers within the industrial military complex.
Mm.
And so they started, they were on the moon in 1942 and had operations on Mars and on Ceres, which, my friend Tony Rodriguez, who unfortunately got into one of the programs with the Dark Fleet. And so, there's a kind of dark and light things going on. But, with the Galactic Federation of Worlds, I love that there's like a moral basis that these beings, the higher you go up in frequency and density, there's multiple densities in this reality. And the higher density beings are more connected with love. And so that's reassuring.
It is. Dan, so I know you've been, you just have so many different topics to discuss. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about something that's caught my eye that you've researched is the personal extraterrestrial exchange on crystal technology. What is that? Can you explain that?
Oh, I'm so honored to be able to do this. This is like a childhood dream. When I was a child in the 50s watching, the Day the Earth Stood Still and Forbidden Planet, I was thinking, how incredible to be able to exchange with a being from thousands of years in advance.
Yeah.
And so what happened was Elena Danaan, elenadanaan.org, you can go to her website. She invited me on a show. And I started talking about the normal disclosure things, right? Mm-hmm. And then she says, well, you worked with Dr. Marcel Vogel in the 80s. And so I started to share the experience. I had an ET interaction experience. And thank you. All the notes are there, by the way. That was like a Kundalini opening experience with this being that gave me this information about the structure of the matrix, and it left a burning passion in me to try to understand. This is all new to me, right? 1977. So I was grabbing every book I could to try to understand this. And so I sought out Dr. Marcel Vogel and got involved in working with the crystals and things like that. And so Elena said that Thorhan Eredyon, who's her contact with the Galactic Federation of Worlds, his younger brother, it happens to be going to a university. His name's Jenhan Eredyon. And he's terraforms planets. He's studying to be what they call a star maker. And so he has intimate knowledge of the matrix of reality and the crystal technology. So she said, well, we could ask some questions. and so back in April of last year, I proposed a few questions and he answered. And Elena and I were both kind of blown away by he matched the research laboratory work that Marcel Vogel was doing and then took it far beyond. And we actually decided to do a show where we were comparing the laboratory research of Dr. Marcel Vogel and the information from Jenhan and compared the notes to her. And then we took thousands of viewers that were watching with their crystals, and everybody pulsed their breath and did a positive vision of a positive timeline. And the Schumann resonance at that time, it spiked, and we found there was a synergistic relationship between that. So in these exchanges, it's completely fascinating. I'll put forth the question, Elena, in a document, Elena will look at it through her eyes with the implant. It's a military device. It's a quantum communication device to the Galactic Federation of the Worlds through her contact Thorhan. And so what she sees with her eyes, Thorhan sees. And what Thorhan sees, she sees. It's just like being there. This is, you have to imagine this is advanced technology.
Mm-hmm.
And so she'll scan the document, and then Thorhan will record it and share it with his younger brother, and his younger brother would give me the answers. And that's the way it works. I have to, it's a long, tedious process, but I have to form a question, and then he will answer based on what I ask. So the notes are on marcelvogel.org.
Awesome.
And it's about 70 pages long, and it's ongoing. We're continuing to learn more. And what we discovered was that within a crystal, you have two terminations. One's at 52 degrees, or 51.843 to be exact, same as the exact Great Pyramid, and the same angle as, all quartz crystals grow at this exact angle, which is related to the golden mean ratio, which goes into infinity. So it's acts as a transponder in the matrix. So it's kind of receives on that end. And then on the ascending end is a 60-degree angle, because the matrix is a tetrahedral fractal holographic matrix that when we think, our thoughts are actually geometric and interfaces with this matrix. And so what Marcel wasn't aware of, and he would have loved to have known, is that these two terminations of the crystal both create counter-rotating vortices that meet together at a particular point that's called the eye of the crystal, that opens up a singularity vortex that allows you to connect right into the matrix, directly. And it also brings out, you mentioned virile. Frill is the other word that's, it's like the life force of the universe that opens up and emanates from that. And we're working on that. There's the whole conversation recently is kind of centered around, first we were getting how to clear the crystal of all the previous imprints, and there's different methods and frequencies. We've actually created crystals that have been cut to a specific geometry. And you can see there's like two silver electrodes that are on both sides of this crystal. And they're being pulsed with a signal generator. And what happens is the piezoelectric lattice structure, if the crystal's cut properly, opens up this wormhole, so to speak. And it's quite fascinating. I'm learning more all the time, and I feel very honored and privileged to be able to. They've authorized me to ask questions, and they've authorized that I can share it with the people of Earth.
What questions have you asked, Dan? I'm dying to find out what questions and answers have you gotten from them.
My God. I don't think we have enough time on the show.
We'll just start with a few basics. We'll get there.
Yeah. Well, one thing Marcel didn't know. He started out cutting crystals, he cut this one as a gift for me, with a 4-sided. And then he started moving up to 2 more sides, they went up to 16 sides and so forth. But he didn't realize that, and he went to 4, 6, 8, 12, like that. He felt that the spin, because when you cut the crystal, you have to cut it in alignment with the C-axis. It's like a laser where you have 2 mirrors and you have a ruby crystal and you photon excite it. There's like the lasing that happens is each time it reflects on the mirrors, it builds stronger and stronger. And so you have one mirror that's partially reflective, 99% reflective. That 1% is strong enough to cut through steel. And so this lasing effect is what Marcel received a vision to cut the crystal in this particular way. He didn't know that the Palladians do the similar angles on their crystals, but he gave more exact, precise angles. And one thing Marcel wasn't aware of is that when he went past the 6-sided crystal, he was missing something of an incredible potential. That if you don't respect the hexagonal lattice structure of the crystal, in other words, it grows in 6 sides, it's hexagonal, you have to cut the crystal in alignment with that. And when you cut it in alignment, it then opens up this this eye of the crystal that makes it extremely powerful, which you don't get with a lot of people get these multi-sided crystals, and they still work. They're still healing crystals. They work by radiance because of the nature of quartz. But the 6-sided has this special attribute that because it's working with the lattice structure of the crystal.
Wow. So Dan, we only have like 7 minutes left of the show. This has flown by. So do you believe perhaps this is part of what the great cover-up is the potential? It sounds like to me these crystals basically opens up like communication or entanglement across the universe, or to speak with other extraterrestrials.
So it appears Elena just had an experience, but I won't go into it, but it did. Something came through the vortex that was interesting. So we're exploring telepathic communicating with us. We've got a long ways to go. There's a whole lot to explore in this area, and all for benevolent purposes only. And the very fact that dissonance, in other words, hatred, fear, jealousy, anger, like that, like Dr. Emoto's, where the snowflakes all form these beautiful patterns, if it's love, gratitude, and so forth. Jen Hand would say that dissonance cannot attune to an ordered state of geometrical resonance. In other words, the matrix that we're in is an ordered state of geometrical resonance. So without love, it does not transfer to the higher densities.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Do you have any plans, Dan, on writing a book? I think you should write a book.
No.
Or 2 or 3.
Everything's online. I just share freely. I never make any money with any of this. I just want to, I just want us to get past the deception and the secrecy and go into the beautiful world that's awaiting once all this has been disclosed.
Yeah,
and the people can move on.
Do you think that'll happen in our lifetime? Let's say in the next 10, 15, 20 years. What do you see
I'm hoping this year.
I like the way you think.
Jen Hadiredian met with the head general of the Space Force over at the Raven Rock complex and gave him a data device that they're working with him, giving him directives for disclosure for the people of Earth. And so they're working with us. They're working with the Earth Alliance to have disclosure. And it's a very delicate thing, because like we mentioned earlier, it's like decades of false indoctrination. And so we've got to work with that in order to very carefully, psychologically, sensitively, bring this new reality out to the people of Earth.
That makes sense. I mean, it would really mess with our banking systems and right. I mean, everything would change.
But it'll be much better.
I agree. Is there anything that those of us who feel like we're ready for disclosure can do or should even do, or I mean, what can we do? I just feel like we're just waiting for people to tell us how to be and how things are, and we're just sitting there listening and not believing most of it. But what else can we do?
Well, the fact that each of us are a fractal of source, we're all our minds are, and scientifically proven, we're all interconnected, is to don't trust anybody. Do your own research. Like I said, my notes are at thewebmatrix.net, and it has references. You can follow up on it and add to your own knowledge and use your own discernment of what's real and what's not. By doing so, you add collectively, not only in your consciousness, and also, raising your own frequency, being a loving person, it will affect the collective matrix that we're on this planet. We have a planetary matrix that's all interwoven, and we all affect each other. And so the more you become aware and, use your discernment of who are the deceivers and who is telling the truth out there, the more we can move past the deception and the lies and move forward to the world that I think all of us in our heart really want to see.
I agree. It's beautiful.
That's really good advice. So everybody turn off the news.
I've done that.
Yeah, feels so much better. Stop programming. Well, the time has flown by. Dan, I want to thank you so much for being here. Hopefully, will you be at any conferences this year? Anybody can see you at? You planning on attending anything?
I live off the grid in the mountains with my wife, and
nice.
So I'm pretty much a hermit.
Nothing wrong with that, bro.
Right. Well, we really appreciate you coming on with us, and I want to thank Chris and Tara and Jerry and all of our listeners out there, and I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Thank you, Amanda Karen, our producer, and to Bill Skywatcher and KGRA. And I hope everybody goes and checks out their website as well. And bear with us through these changes we've been going through lately. But fascinating stuff. And I just love that advice. Turn off the news and do your own research, seek out that truth. And I think doing podcasts like this and talking with people like you really helps push that along. So I hope everybody has a great rest of their week, and we'll see you next Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure with you. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Bye.